welcome everybody to the compliance briefing for BAA requirements for LED lighting. I appreciate you guys being here. We all do appreciate you being here, and we're running a couple seconds late, but happy Halloween to everybody out there, all you goblins and ghosts. So and we know that this is a crazy day. I'm sure the people that are here, if we could share them, their cameras, they'd be looking just like these crazy people. So with us today, we have Adam Harmon. He's the CEO of Axis LED Group. Say hey, Adam.
Hey guys, how you doing? Good morning.
So yeah, you're out of Chicago, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Starting to get cold here. Not looking forward to it. My first winter in Chicago. Ooh.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And also with us, we have Ed Birch. Now you're in Rockville, right, Ed?
That is correct. DC Metro.
DC Metro, exactly. It's a great place. And I'm Dave Lowe. I'm here with Government Support, and I'm your host here today for this briefing. And with this, we'd like to welcome everybody. If we missed your agency, we apologize. We try to include everybody that's here. We always love to do these interagency briefings because it includes folks all over the United States as well around the world. We're seeing things come in from around the world and agencies. And with that, we want to provide a disclaimer that this event is not affiliated or endorsed by any agency and is provided to the audience for informational purposes only, and all participation by you in this briefing is voluntary, and any engagement by you, the government personnel, is not an indication that or endorsement of or commitment to purchase from any vendor. We do that so that we can talk about things and you can ask us questions and we can roundtable. And with that, we have some briefing controls. You can ask us those questions by opening that panel on the side. And then you can also text things to us with the questions, or you can raise your hand and you can say, hey, I'd like to talk. And if you have your microphone, then we can include you in the conversation. Or if you called in on the phone, you need to enter that PIN showing up on your screen so that we can unmute you. And if you can email us at any time if you want to, it's govsupport@alg-usa.com, and that'll get our information to us. And if you like the way that Ed and Adam look, you can expand them and make them bigger by grabbing that little line there, maybe on the top or on the side, but you can make us bigger. So the agenda for today, we're going to talk about the initiatives and regulations that are surrounding the BAA requirements and some of the problems with being able to meet those. They are changing. They're in flux right now. We'll be talking about that as well. Another thing we're going to be talking about is incorporating ROI into your contract mechanisms and how you can utilize LEDs to meet efficiency requirements as well as a BAA compliance. So. And we'll get some of your questions and we'll try to get you the right answers and figure out ways to help protect your agency. So we will be asking a few polls today. And the first one is here. I am here because I want to learn more about the Buy American Act. That's great. New administration initiatives are requiring BAA compliance. We're seeing this start to come down into agencies, as you already know. And I'm interested in learning about LED technology. That could be another part because it could be part of your wheelhouse. And maybe you have an upcoming LED requirement, or your boss made you come. So there you go. And you can answer as many of those as you need to. And we just love to hear from you, so we stay on track for you. So everybody knows that they're not alone. A lot of folks here for the BAA. Compliance, that's great, and some folks are interested in the LEDs, which is awesome as well. So we want to make sure that we get the information to you that you need. So tell us about Axis LED Group. It was based in Ohio. Now it's in Chicago. That's the one I missed when I made the save. So it's now in Chicago, right? Tell us about that.
Well, we originally based in Ohio. I actually moved to Chicago a few months ago. Moved the company over here, actually got engaged, so I had to move to Chicago. She works here, so luckily we are, mainly internet-based, and that we can move our offices anywhere. We don't have a showroom or anything like that. So, but everything's good here in Chicago. We're up and running, and everything is rocking and rolling so far.
Right. And one of the biggest things is you are assembled and manufactured here in the United States, in Arizona and Illinois. So that's where you do the tubes is up where you are, right?
Yeah, we do those tubes in the southern tip of Illinois called Marion, Illinois, and then we assemble our fixtures, our LED panels, high bays, street lights, cetera, in Phoenix, Arizona.
Awesome. So your primary focus is interior LED lights, but you also do exterior as well, right? Anything that's commercial, industrial, besides this, what you call screw-ins, is that how it is?
Yeah, we do everything that can be an LED fixture besides screw-ins and also can lights. So the only two that we don't do. So we have a solution for just about everything you guys can throw at us with LED, with an extremely high quality product. And because we are a small business, we utilize, which I'm sure Dave will go over through this webinar, that we utilize Unicor, which is the Department of the Federal Prison Industries. So our labor rates are extremely low, so we can offer very, very, very competitive pricing for our BAA compliant products.
Awesome, and that's even better for folks here, and quite a bit different as far as lower pricing than a lot of the foreign products, as a matter of fact. So 5 and 10 year warranty. So there you have some of the best products on the market. Tell us about the UL Flickerless Verified. This is a new verification, and tell us what that means.
Well, the UL Flickerless Verified is extremely new product out there. We're only the second company in the world that has this verification. What it is, you're not going to see it right now, but we're hearing that the DoD is going to be requiring this in their near future. Also, schools, university, healthcare. And what this does is that any type of fixture or light fixture has a little bit of flicker. So what we have done, we've captured technology that can actually bring it down from normal LEDs or anywhere from 60% to 25% flicker, and they flicker so fast that the human eye can't see it. What it does, it causes headaches, it causes epileptic episodes, etc. Helps people not work as much. So our products that we can offer, it's a slight premium from our normal product, but what it does, we have a 0.001% flicker rate, which is very, very soothing for the eyes, even though you can't really see it. People do notice it, once it's installed, and it just, helps with the work environment and so on and so forth. And like I said, the DoD is starting to spec it in all their projects.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's also a lot of universities, a lot of schools as well.
Yep.
Requiring it moving forward.
And it goes to the comfort of the work environment, right? So everybody's got fluorescent tubes now, so it's an improvement over those as well. And BAA and TAA compliant, that's the main reason we're here. So let's talk about the new administration and the initiatives that are out. So the folks that don't know about the BAA or Buy American Act, it was originally done by Herbert Hoover in 1933, way back in the day. Manufacturing and assembling parts and product in the United States. And we also have the Employ American initiative that's coming from the Trump administration. We still have the government efficiency mandates that we'll go over a little bit here as well. These are new executive orders, and there's more to come dealing with efficiencies and being able to have the government spend as little as possible. We're also seeing something else that's new in contracting, and that's aggressive use of return on investment, or ROI. And this includes energy savings performance contracts, or ESPCs, and we'll talk about specifically about the one that happened recently for the Department of Energy, which there are what are called super ESCOs in that as well. So the Buy American Act, as I mentioned earlier, it's 1933, and it talks about having the government purchase things that are produced in the United States. We saw some specific components with steel for the pipeline, for construction of the American pipelines, for the executive order on January 24th, and it included a 25% price protection over TAA compliance. That doesn't necessarily apply here because the competitiveness of the LED market and the fact that Axis LED is using Unicor, as you mentioned, Adam, that doesn't even necessarily apply here, but you do have price protection as you can see in the way that they did it with the steel. So with executive order on April 18th, 2017, this is coming to roost right now. There's judicious use of waivers. What happened is it placed, the executive order placed a study for all the agencies. It was a 6-month study, so it just came due. And the executive order says they're all going to report on use of the waivers, and those waivers are executed by the appointed person from the president directly, the U.S. trade representative. And the U.S. trade representative is responsible for the use of these waivers, and they're pulling back on those, as we saw, just like we saw with the steel. So we're seeing those happen. I've had conversations with the White House and OMB on these particular items, and we can expect that these are going to continue to change. The other pieces that we have is we still have executive orders from the past president, so for planning and sustainability in the next decade, and we have the executive order for March 13th, which is improving the efficiency and effectiveness and accountability of federal agencies. All of this dovetails into being able to improve our energy usage as well. So, and these pile on top of the Energy Policy Act of 92 and 95 and Energy Independence Act and Security Act of 2007. All these executive orders pile on top, and these meet all of those. So the question that we have here is, have you ever used ROI language in a contract? Have you ever seen that happen in a contract that you've used? So this is a return on investment. That means if you save money, you get to be able to use that as a tool to say this is a great investment because we can save over the course of 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it happens to be. And then at the end of that, it becomes a cost neutral, or it doesn't cost anything to do the upgrades. And it is even up 50-50. Half the time they've seen it and half the time they've not. That's fantastic. So tell us, Ed, tell us about the return on investment and what that looks like for energy savings performance contracts, or ESPCs. What does this mean?
So there's groups called ESCOs, which are energy service companies out there. They have what's called super ESCOs. I believe there's 21 different national companies that do energy efficiency projects for the federal government. What they are essentially is they are a project management company that will do various upgrades to facilities. They will provide the financing to the federal government, so the government doesn't require budget approval for this. And they guarantee the savings on the contracts, and the contracts can be from anywhere from 10 to 20 years, depending. And these energy savings that they are getting from the upgraded measures pays for the equipment and services to bring the facilities up to date. So there's no out of pocket to the government. The government is in a positive cash flow situation or a neutral cash flow situation, and they're able to upgrade their facilities.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So there's two different types. There's tubes and then there's fixtures, right? So tell us about the tubes and how long that is. 24, 36 months before they pay for themselves?
What type of tube they put in, because there's some big variations in the cost of the installation. So if they're going to if they want to remove the ballast, which we recommend highly if you're going to do a tube retrofit, because the ballast will continue to blow. There's a tube that works with a ballast. So you pull out a fluorescent tube, you put in an LED tube, it just works. However, when those ballasts go, you've got to replace the ballast. You do an external driver tube, you basically remove the ballast, put in an LED driver, and then that runs the LED tubes you put in, and those, we warranty those for 10 years. So you're not going to touch your lights for 10 years, minimum. So those are the different types of tubes, but they're much quicker ROI than an actual fixture replacement because there's not nearly as much labor involved. And the products are probably about half the cost of a fixture in terms of the tube retrofit compared to buying fixtures.
So there's your comparison there. So with tubes, it's 24 to 36, and with fixtures, it's 36 to 60 months. And the nice thing is, if you're doing the fixtures, you never have to. Then it's 10 years, and you don't have to touch them.
That's correct. And the reason a lot of people want to do fixtures is it gives a new look to the space. I mean, if you're literally pulling out fluorescent tubes, putting LED tubes, you still have the same look. I mean, you really wouldn't be able to tell the difference. I mean, the light quality is a lot better. But I mean, the environment is going to look the same, essentially the same. With new fixtures, you get a new look, like it's been, everything's been upgraded. So that's why a lot of people go with fixtures. Also, there are utility rebates throughout the country. and depending on what the rebate is that's available to the government, they would be able to, a lot of places they're doing fixture rebates. So, you don't really get a rebate for putting in an LED tube, but you do get a rebate for putting in a new fixture. So it helps offset that cost differential.
And one more thing I'd like to add too is with the fixtures, there's a way that you can also reduce your fixture count. It's actually more labor. That's why our fixture ROI is a little bit higher. But you can go from maybe in a building that you have 100 fixtures in, but down to 70 fixtures with it. So that's obviously going to reduce your power consumption and your ROI because of the saving on the less fixtures throughout your building too. That's another great option for the fixtures.
Fantastic. So go ahead.
Just a side note, typically they do a reduction in fixture counts if you're going to go with fixtures. That's what we've seen. We've done some big retrofits with fixtures, and typically they do reduce the fixture count by probably 30%, like Adam said.
Yep.
All right. So what is your issue with LED replacement? What are you saying? Is it about the cost? Is it about the quality of the technology, color differences, and differences between your current colors, BAA or TAA compliance, or is it something else? And it stays at 50-50. So there it is. So there's a even up between cost and budget and BAA and TAA compliance. So let's talk a little bit about those issues. And first, BAA compliance and TAA compliance. Wait a minute, let me close this. Sorry. So we back? We're good, right? All right, the top thing, BAA, TAA compliance. What makes a company BAA and TAA compliant, Adam? How is it that you guys are BAA compliant and the different? And we'll talk about TAA compliance in a minute.
Okay, well, BAA compliant means Buy American Act agreement. So what this means is that we bring in components we bring some from overseas from a TAA compliant country. Bring them over here, and we use like I said before, Unicore, which is the prisons, to assemble our products for this. And what it means is because of the transformation, even though we have some parts from overseas, once we put it all together with American folks, especially U.S. government, even though they're prisoners, it's still in a government facility. Mm-hmm. It qualifies as a substantial transformation. This meaning we can qualify for the Buy American Act compliance products. That's what it means. Now, trade TAA, what that means is that they're buying them from Taiwan or Korea or something like that, not North Korea, South Korea, and they can put them together, bring them over there. It's going to be a lower cost, but that doesn't qualify for BAA. I mean, I'm not going to talk bad about them, but some of the larger folks, Philips, Cree, a few of those people that say they have Buy American Act products, they actually don't. They actually have TAA products. And we found out that a lot of military bases are putting in Philips brand products, and they aren't BAA, which apparently with these sanctions, it could be a boost a problem for you folks in the future if Trump keeps putting these sanctions down.
Yep. So BAA compliance is one of the biggest issues. The market is flooded with the cheaper tubes, as you know, and your price points are right about there. It's not like you're spending 3 or 4 times as much. And typically, if you're looking at the cost of against fluorescents, this is even coming down too, isn't it? Typically 4 to 6 times the cost of fluorescent replacements. Is it still that?
Yeah, and it's actually going down. We've got a new technology that just came out probably about 2 months ago, which is our nano tube. And what that does, that brought the cost down from around the $12 range down to, if you buy if you outfit a whole military base, we're in the $7 range. And a typical fluorescent, depending on what you buy, is going to be anywhere from $1.50 all the way up to $2.50, $3, depending on how many you buy and where you buy them, and so on and so forth. You guys know how much the costs are for you guys in facility.
Just in length of life, I mean, the LED lasts 3 to 4 times as long minimum, and that's a maintenance savings from having a person coming and changing out the burnout fluorescents, but also you have using about half the energy during that period. So on a length of use time, they're the same cost, or LEDs probably are a little bit less expensive, and you're getting about at least half of the wattage reduction.
I'll tell you this, Ed, is that with my house, I have a bunch of lights, and I was forever changing the light bulbs because the light bulbs just wouldn't last in the recessed lights. This isn't what you do, but the same thing applied, is that I have lights that I literally haven't touched for 2 years, 3 years now, that within months I would be replacing lights. It is totally different technology, and it's much better on the maintenance. I did it for the maintenance alone. So the other part of issues that agencies sometimes have is the cost justification models. Now, this is changing as well. Agencies are starting to recognize the ROI model so that they can take the money and utilize it someplace else and reallocate those funds into something that's mission critical instead of lights, right? So personnel or technology to be able to help them do other things. So they're being able to reallocate those funds. That was a congressional thing that had to be done. So that's starting to move. Some agencies still can't do it, but a lot of the agencies can. And then current contractual obligations with the existing providers. Then we also talk about quality. You mentioned this earlier, Adam, is that the studies that are happening, especially in schools, you said it too, Ed, and both of you did, dealing with this idea of flicker and the impact of that, which we don't know, but it actually helps. It helps with the environment itself of the learning environment in schools.
Yes, I mean, it's not only from schools, obviously healthcare is important, and especially, government workers. A lot of the government workers are sitting behind a desk all day, and, if the lights are, flickering, you can't see them, they get headaches. I mean, you're not going to be as efficient. I mean, I believe they were doing a study, and they're saying it's like 10 to 15% more people without the flicker come to work and are more efficient during work. I mean, there's a study by the PNNL, which we're going to be posting on our website very soon. Also on our website, which we'll send you at the end, patriotledtubes.com. We just uploaded a new video all about flicker on there, so you guys can check that out also. And hopefully we'll send after the briefing a link to that to our webpage there with the flicker, so you can kind of learn a little bit more about it. I can explain it, but it's kind of boring. But you can watch the video; it's like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Something like that. Gets a little bit more informed on it, and then you can have more educated conversation if it ever gets brought up over coffee. So, absolutely.
In fact, we have a question about this. Unfamiliar with flickerless. How does this differ with UL's approval of less than % flicker? Also, how does this affect performance on ballast and therefore compliance with the UFC? That comes from John. Thanks, John.
Yeah. So, what was the first part of the question again, Dave? I'm sorry.
How does this differ with UL's approval of a less than X% flicker?
Basically, that's what it is. That's where we have a 0.001% flicker rate. It's actually called low optimal flicker rating verification, and it's just hard to say, so we made it flickerless. Basically, that's what it is. And with the effect on ballast, and what these actually are is that we have an external driver, which means we replace the ballast with a LED driver or direct wire. With the ballast is going to create flicker. So we don't have ballast compatible flickerless tubes out there because the ballast creates damping, flickering.
Ballast
so that
kind of
doesn't apply.
Actually.
Ballast. I think fluorescence flicker. What if fluorescence flicker? 60 times a second or something?
Yes.
60 to 120 times per second. Yeah.
It's your 60 cycle. That's where you get your audio hums and stuff like that. Stay away from the music stuff today. All right. So you mentioned this retrofitting. There's ways to be able to just do a single tube replacement using the existing ballast, where you can do the room, you can do the floor, you can do everything if you want to. And that includes, T5s, T8s, T12s, and lengths, different lengths, and all those. Anything in particular that you'd like to address with retrofitting before we get to the benefits of doing that? No? All right.
Yeah, I mean, basically what we have is we have a for the replacements. Yes, we have a replacement for any LED or fluorescent tube that you have. We don't have a 1-footer or an 18-inch one, but we have 2-footers, 3-footers, 4-footers, 5-footers, 6, 8, and also U-bends, and also the little skinny U-bends. And also, if you guys are familiar with lights, there's called a PLL lamp, which is like a little 4-pin that goes in sideways. A lot of 2x2 troffers. A lot of government folks have that. We just got an order for I think it's 240 Coast Guard bases that has PLL lamps in there.
Oh, yeah.
And also for our external driver tubes, we also are being spec'd out on the entire USPS Postal Service facilities throughout the country. It's over 30,000 buildings. They're using our lamps. So.
And one of the biggest reasons, energy reduction, right? Energy reduction is part of that. But you mentioned this earlier, Ed. The
big reason USPS is using us is because of the ROI. I mean, they are strict ROI guidelines. I don't think for the federal government as much as you know, in DOE and DoD, but for the Postal Service, they're looking at firm ROI targets, and our tube is really the only tube that they could actually turn to that would meet those ROI requirements. So we are, like Adam said, we just basically entered into a deal with them, and starting this year, we're going to start doing, I think we're going to do about 400 or 500 locations this year, and they're going to roll it out throughout the Postal Service, our product.
Congratulations. That's huge.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah. So you mentioned this earlier, Ed, is that the difference between 2 to 3 years, 7 to 15 years, we just don't know because you put them up and they run, they don't degrade as fast, and as a result, it's lower maintenance costs across the board. So here's a question for everybody: when do you expect to have a lighting upgrade requirement? Is it right now? Is it this quarter, or is it 2018? And this happens to be our calendar quarter. As you know, we're in Q1 of fiscal year, but would love to know exactly when you guys would need these. And if you're not sure, that's okay too. But with that, we'll give you a couple more seconds, and we'll get to some questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop open that once you vote on this, and we'll make sure we get to your questions as well. So a lot of folks not sure exactly when, but some folks have a requirement right now, which is great. So we're coming up in 2018. So with that, we're going to get to some questions. So I think we answered the question about the flicker less, and we have the question about what makes it Buy American compliant, and I think you went to that, Adam, and I'm gonna add a little bit to that for the BAA compliance as we see it starting to shape up. If you think about what makes something TAA compliant, it is the use of waivers that say that this is an acceptable, it's acceptable, and we're waiving the Buy American Act for the TAA compliant products. We're seeing that change. And we're seeing some of the language coming out from the White House, and it'll be interesting to see as they digest the study that was just completed and due a few days ago. They're going to turn around and make recommendations for judicious use of those waivers and to minimize them. That they're driving that. They drove that back in April. That's where they're headed right now. And turning that into a much more American-focused, assembled as well as produced here, and it'll be interesting to see how that turns out, especially and the impact that it has on you, Adam, and Axis LED Group. And then we have a question about justification and approval. So. Have you ever issued a justification and approval? Yes, we have. In fact, we have some verbiage for you that we can send over. That's a J&A. What that does is it says that you can use things like the fact that it's BAA compliant, that it's flicker-less technology, it's UL verified. Those are the two primary pieces. The fact that they're manufactured here in the United States with multiple warehouses, those are other things that they look for being able to do the support. So those are two things. Let's see what other questions we have here. 1 second.
Well, just a side note, we are on schedule. I don't know if we have that information available, Adam. But
it's coming up.
Oh, the GSA Advantage. I believe you got that on there, right, Dave?
Yeah, he said he's got
GSA schedule, GSA Advantage, yes.
Yep.
So the flicker-free rating on lamps here, flickerless. Hang on a second. This is highly technical from you, John. Okay, we'll try. How about this? The flicker-free rating on the lamps here at PatriotLEDtubes.com, content, flickerless detect wire 1 says up to 1,000 hertz. How does that compare to other manufacturers? How was that number determined? That is highly technical. You want to take that offline, guys?
Sure. Now the hertz, that's actually a pretty technical question. I got to ask my engineers, believe it or not. On that, our flicker rate is 0.001% that you all verified this with their testing results. Now the hertz is different within different LED products that I know. It just depends on the wattage and everything like that. So that is a question that I will, if I'd love to get your email, you can email me or email Dave, and I would love to get the right answer for you, but I just don't want to sound silly and make up something, so I don't really know what it is. That's why we have insurance here.
It's okay not to know, man. I don't know a lot.
Yeah.
So one of the other questions, and you brought it up, actually, Ed, is are you on GSA schedule? And the answer is yes. So there's multiple avenues for that. And let's see, we're at 11:33. There's a couple of different things as we get through the next part of being able to say how things are operated. You can do it by room or by floor, and we don't need to go into all the details. Nobody's really asking for this as far as building out these things, but a lot of this revolves around a lighting audit. So tell us about how things start, and we'll look at it at building or campus, so you can run through how it works. How can they gain access to the ROI and the studies and things like that?
They can just simply give us a call, let us know what facility, what building, what floor, whatever they want to get retrofitted. We will send out one of our partners to do a lighting walkthrough. It's basically lighting count, fixture count, light count, with hours of operation for the building, as well as the wattage for each particular light. Come back after that, we'll put together it's an Excel spreadsheet. It breaks down based upon the hours of operation, the wattage reduction, and then we actually have a cost estimate in there, and it'll give spit out a return on investment for that project. And if they're interested in moving forward, they give us the green light, and however we're going to fund it through an ESPC contract, or where they have the budget already available, and then we would ship the lights, install the lights after the lights are complete, invoice and get paid.
Like it. So it's a pretty streamlined process. It starts with a lighting audit, and there's a lot of folks that have the ability to do that right away. So why push for the BAA LEDs? Well, first, because it meets the new and the upcoming federal mandates. If it's TAA compliant, it could be removed. There could be, like you said, Adam, you mentioned with some of the issues that are starting to get pushback from DOD, meeting the BAA requirements. If you're manufactured here in the United States, if you have that BAA compliance certificate, it'll make the day, because it doesn't have to go through the TAA or any other trade agreement, NAFTA or whatever. So that's one of the biggest things. And it also meets the initiatives for the cost savings. To be able to tie this all together, there's virtually no difference in the ROI. So why not do it? And it also meets the guidelines for sustainable federal buildings and the green challenge that's still in effect, as you know, as agency heads are already there. It reduces the energy, the electricity by 5% or more. You can do that just like that by installing LED tubes, because it's a 50% reduction in wattage, and most of the expenses of a building revolve around electricity. So that's what it is. So right there, you can save from that. So the rollout strategy that you can do, if you need to, you can do a proof of concept with a pilot where you can take a look at your environment, look at the quality of the lighting, verify the ROI, and then start with a small application of LEDs in your facility, and then you can roll that out throughout your whole organization. It's very easy to do as a pilot. You can do it under simplified acquisition, and even micro purchases eligible in some instances. So with that, and tell us about installation coordination, because that's one of the things. Access LED is a manufacturer. That's what you do. You manufacture the LED tube. So tell us about the teaming and what's available for grabbing other services to get them installed.
We have partners throughout the country that we worked with that we're able to coordinate turnkey, if you require turnkey installation, as well if you require financing as well. I mean, we can do as little or as much as you'd like, and we can wholesale lights, just basically ship the lights to you guys and that's it, or we can take it from start to finish, coordinate the lighting audit, coordinate any rebates that are available, manage the installation crews, and install the lights, fully turnkey. So we are a one-stop shop in that regard.
And it can go under an existing IDIQ or BPA, including the ESPC, as you mentioned earlier.
We do have partners that have designations, small business hub zone, whatever you need. So because that's always seems to be a big requirement a lot of times with these lighting these lighting retrofits. So we have the partners available to meet any of the small disadvantaged business requirements.
Yep. So staying out of hot water, if you're contracting for LED tubes, make sure that they're BAA and TAA compliant. And that's the first thing. BAA they're automatically going to be TAA compliant if they're BAA compliant. The one thing that I'd love to have is folks that are on the contracting side driving the use of BAA compliant LEDs at the end for the end user, so that everything works all the way through the supply chain. It's always a good idea to use the latest technology, requiring the UL flicker-free verification, or flicker-less, I should say. Verify the warranties on all of these. If you're going to do the installations, you're talking about 10 years for the fixtures, at least 5 years for the tubes. Making sure that you verify those ROI claims. That's why it's a great idea to do a pilot so that you can see if they can meet those claims, and then verify the lead times as far as how long it's going to take to do the production of these, and making sure that they have facilities around to deliver those. Verify that past performance and use those BPAs to gain fast access to vendors. In fact, one of those is, and for the IDIQs, is the SPC IDIQ from the Department of Energy. Drive it through those folks. It's there. That contract is brand new as of spring, early summer of this year. And as you mentioned, Ed, we have Hub Zone, you have the woman-owned, 8A, service disabled, whatever you need as far as the socioeconomic standards are, and access through GSA Advantage. And you mentioned this, Adam, about you have an interagency agreement with Unicor. What does that look like?
Excuse me. Basically, what that means is that you can get past the bidding process through Unicor through an interagency agreement. So basically what you would do is you would say, okay, I need X amount of light fixtures or lights in your building. Instead of having to do all the paperwork with the, bidding, the FBO or anything like that, you would go directly to Unicor through an interagency agreement, which is basically a piece of paper you sign, send it straight to Unicor. Unicor buys the lights through us, assembles them at the facility. they send them to you, Unicore pays us, then you guys pay Unicore. So that's what the interagency roundabout goes. So it's a very easy way to get your product in there very fast rather than going through the bid process. And as you guys know, as we've looked through bids, it's a lot of paperwork. So this is minimal paperwork.
A lot of paperwork for everybody, so it's a paperwork saver. So,
Yeah.
so we're finalizing this for everybody. What do you guys need help with right now? I need help with a specific project, looking at whether this will work for your organization, spec sheets or price lists, anything like that. How about a lighting audit or something else? Please contact me. That's where, well, we want to make sure we get to exactly what you need, and you respond, and we'll make sure we get you what you need. We'll give you another 10 seconds, and that's about it, because we want to make sure we wrap up as soon as possible. We're a little bit over. Good conversation, though. Good questions. Couple technical ones we got to get some feedback on. Everybody wants spec sheets and price lists. I don't even have to show it up there. That's what it is. So there you go. So real quick follow-up, you're going to get a copy of the presentation. You have any questions and answers that we get either here or on via email. We will include it. Supporting documents for all the BAA compliance. You will get your Access LED group capabilities, the procurement options that we just talked about, as well as links to gsaadvantage.gov where you can purchase products directly off of GSA Advantage. And anything else that you guys would like to say before we let people go back to work? Nothing? You guys got nothing?
Ready for lunch.
They're ready for lunch. Well, we really appreciate everybody joining us. Any parting comments there, Adam?
No, I think we covered a bunch of stuff. I'd love to get your guys' feedback. Please, John, send that email to either my email down there or to the Gov support one. I'd love to get that question answered so I can actually learn. So the next time somebody asks me this question, I don't, I actually have an answer rather than to sit there and look silly. So, but thank you guys for taking your time this morning. Go to our website, patriotledtubes.com. Love to hear from you guys by phone calls, emails, whatever you guys want to do. We'd love to, get the Patriot LED products in your facilities as soon as possible. And that's it. Thank you again.
Yeah, awesome. Got anything left, Ed? You just want to go to lunch?
No. I mean, everything Adam was perfect. He did a great job.
Awesome. Well, thanks, fellas. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining us for the BAA compliant for LED lights, and we will see you next time. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.